Bluestone Lane Coffee. They're now in LA, New York, here. I think it's an Australian style coffee. A lot of warm heat coming out here. We actually have a cool morning, so homeless will hang out here at night when it's cool to feel that heat. And it gets pretty cold here in the Northeast. Even in Florida it gets cold. In Gainesville, Florida, their winters can get pretty chilly. And here's Rittenhouse Grill, but also the Warwick Residences and a hotel. So it's combined hotel and residences off to the right here. And I think they still have, I don't see them right now, but they used to have a whole bunch of air conditioning units, and you can tell that in the city because when you walk around during the hot summer, all of a sudden you feel spittle and almost like it's raining. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm by a building that still has those air conditioning units as opposed to central air. It's a very old building. And for whatever reason, they're not going to do central air. But it can be done. It's expensive in some older buildings, but anyway. Some outdoor dining still left over from the pandemic. All the restaurants had outdoor dining of some form or another. Similar styles, but anyway. There was a major fire that finally made sure Park Rittenhouse, which is this next restaurant, we just passed the Bluestone or whatever, but there used to be outdoor dining, and there was like an accident with one of the, probably, I don't know if they just did it or if it was one of the heat lamps, but it might have been a homeless situation. And you know, if you wound up homeless and no one was helping you, and there are people who wind up in bad situations through really no fault of their own, and they can't figure out why nothing's working out, and they're like, oh my god, I'm like a good girl from Schenectady, New York, you know. What would you do if all of a sudden everyone abandoned you and you were even kind of sabotaged from getting work? You would be angry. So people who don't have homes are often angry, and it could be because they can't figure out, maybe their whole life has been about not being able to figure out how to live like everybody else. How do you get the schooling that you need, or how do you get the job you need? Or some people live by, they just happen to know people and they can find a community to belong in, and that helps. Not everybody can do that. I'm a very alone person, so. Can you imagine like your bank account emptied and people just like turning their back on you? And you're like, this is weird because I'm a really nice person. I have no idea. Wow, what it would be like someone decided to like do something in your universe, so you're living in a parallel universe. Like, that's so weird. Coffee used to have a location next to the district attorney's office right around City Hall. Technically even that office it's been there a while, but they used to be way over on the other side of a city building, same vicinity but like a block and a half or 2 blocks over, what is now called the Meridian Hotel. It's like a funky hotel, very boutique-y like. Anyway, but because of their location, I wondered if they were somehow connected to the justice system, sort of like Lois Lane or Bluestone Lane, but an Australian style coffee with LA locations, Philly, New York, maybe Maryland, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's super cool this morning. We are talking, it might be in the 60s right now with a breeze. We could wear a coat this morning and be totally happy. And it's August 20th. So, you know, we're having what one news station called a fall preview or autumn preview. I don't love using the word fall because it will be used in harassment and gang stalking. Like, oh, she fell from grace, she fell from the grace of God. You know, he or she, you know, say you lifted a pencil from the library, like, oh, committed a major crime. And that's what gang stalkers do. They blow things out of proportion, or they just want you to feel really bad, and they'll walk behind you and actually say stuff like that. We saw you lift the pencil from the library, ripped the chain and everything. So meanwhile here, there are no chains on the pencils here, and you know, most people walk off with pens, and that's why they give them away for free at banks half the time, because it's like, where'd my pen go? Oh yeah. So those are one of those things that are just a regular cost of business. That's what they said at FedEx. I used to have to go to FedEx all the time to print stuff out. FedEx, it used to be Kinko's. And I put the pen back in the little jar or whatever. And the woman who was used to seeing me show up there all the time, spending money to get stuff to print out, because I didn't have a laptop that could hold a printer. I didn't have the memory, and I didn't want to. So she's like, oh, that's just considered you can take it. She's like, just take it. That's a regular business expense. We fill up on pens all the time. I was like, oh, okay. Now, I could have taken it, and then someone would make me feel guilty for it, but they wouldn't have known she said that. So I would come out here, and that would be an example of death by 10,000 cuts. So, because it's more the annoyance factor than the guilt factor, but you know, a lot of self-righteous people are gang stalkers, which made me wonder, like, are they super religious, or do they belong to, I even wondered about Scientology, but there are so many different types of people that it was like different groups learned their own styles of how to irritate, annoy, and harass someone, but to the point of like, you would be driven totally crazy. So unless there were quiet, secret people sort of helping you go and maybe kind of sending messages out there of how to look at the world and how to look at those people, that they were being exposed the whole time that they chose to harass me. They were being exposed. And they just decided to use me because maybe I was made of the right stuff, or I was the perfect type of person to use, because I really didn't have many options in life. My family wouldn't have really totally understood what to do, or, you know, it's not like I could have run to someone's house and like stayed there, and it wouldn't really matter because even if you were to run, say you had the comfort or, you know, whatever, privilege or whatever of running to, say, your parents' house if they were married, or one of their houses, or whatever, if they had a house, the activity could still continue. I had to learn a whole bunch of things about the world.